Donald Trump and his allies are putting on what looks like political theater when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The problem for them is they don't seem to know their own script. Every stunt has fallen flat, every distraction has backfired, and they just can't get the media to look the other way. That weakness was on full display last night when Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer made a stunning admission live on air, confirming details of a secret arrangement involving Trump that has only made this scandal spiral further. We're going to break it all down in this video. But before we dive in, make sure to tap the like button, and if you're new here and enjoy our coverage, hit subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you these updates. Now, before we get into what Maxwell's lawyer revealed on air that completely undercuts Trump's defense, I want to highlight something Matt pointed out about Trump's own attorney, Todd Blanche, in connection to Maxwell's testimony, a detail that has been almost entirely overlooked.
And then she immediately got a big, very important material benefit. She got bumped down to a minimum security prison where a sex offender like her is not allowed to be unless they get some special dispensation from on high, which apparently she got just after doing this interview with the president's former personal defense lawyer. Special treatment and a reward for an interview about her crimes, not from some craven tabloid or some, soulless exploitative publisher like New York state legislators were worried about in the 1970s. No, this is from the president's administration. This is from the federal government. And in that interview, it's not like the president's lawyer was pressing her real hard on what she was telling him. At one point, Ghislaine Maxwell volunteered in this interview that there were multiple members of President Trump's cabinet who had been involved with child sex abuser Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in the interview, the president's lawyer, we can hear, it's on the tape. The president's lawyer hears her say that about multiple members of President Trump's cabinet, and he responds to her saying that by not asking anything about it. You can listen to it. She volunteers. Members of Trump's cabinet, people who the president's lawyer would value as colleagues, she says. She says they were among the people who she knows socialized with Jeffrey Epstein. She says that bluntly. And then listen to how Donald Trump's lawyer responds to that. Listen to the long pause he greets that information with, and then he just leaves it sitting right where it is and moves on to a different topic.
Did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there is no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, some of you in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers and would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find that. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. Now, did some... Okay, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see it.
So when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage?
So this woman who's in prison, a 20-year sentence because of her crimes that she committed with Jeffrey Epstein. She says, hey, members of Donald Trump's cabinet were involved with this thing that I was part of. Were involved with Epstein. She said, plural, right? Some are in your cabinet. Some are in your cabinet who you value as your coworkers. Multiple members of the president's cabinet were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And the response to her volunteering this in this interview is not, who? Which members of the cabinet? Say what now? The response is, long pause. Let's move on.
It is important to keep in mind that everyone is implicated here in Donald Trump's administration. Not just in the cover-up, but, as Ghislaine Maxwell said, with being associates of Jeffrey Epstein, several members of Donald Trump's cabinet, we at least know RFK Jr. for sure because he has admitted it. But the cover-up that Donald Trump is carrying out right now as it relates to the entirety of the Epstein files isn't just one to protect him. It is one to protect the other co-conspirators, the other colleagues of Epstein's, the other criminals, the associates around him. Because Donald Trump knows if their names become public, there is more to trace back to him. That is why the DOJ is right now actively blocking a federal judge from revealing the name of two Epstein associates who were wired hundreds of thousands of dollars. And NBC News is being blocked from seeing those names because the DOJ knows what would come next, a further investigation. They are terrified. And that is why they are trying to shut up the main player in this scandal and gain Maxwell. And that was just exposed in its entirety on air by her lawyer. Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer admitted to secret deal with Trump live on CNN. An attorney for the convicted sex trafficker said, "Good lawyers always get something in exchange for a client cooperating with the government." An attorney for convicted trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, told a CNN panel that defendants like his client who cooperate with the government typically do so in order to get something in return. During an appearance Monday on CNN Newsnight, attorney Arthur Adala told host Abby Phillip that he didn't know the details of Maxwell's transfer to a lower security prison after she met with Trump's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche in July, but asked why Maxwell was moved to Kushir prison following the two-day interview. Adala said he could talk in generalities. When anybody who's represented by a lawyer who knows what they're doing goes in and meets with the government, there's always a quid pro quo. He said, you don't just take your client in and say, let me talk to you about something. They wanted information from hypothetically any time the government wants information from a citizen. The citizen says, well, I have a right to remain silent. If you want to give that right, I need something in return. Usually the exchange results in a plea bargain, he continued before interrupting himself to ask another panelist, former Biden advisor Nara Tanden, why she was laughing. You just admitted to a quid pro quo with the Trump administration, Tanden replied, but that's how the whole system works. Adala said Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence for helping Laura manipulate and groom young girls for the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Died in prison in 2019 while awaiting trial on trafficking charges. At this point, they're practically admitting it out loud. They don't even seem to care anymore. Protected by Trump's circle, they act as if there will never be consequences. And that's exactly why we saw Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer acknowledge it live on television. If that doesn't make it clear that some sort of arrangement was made, I don't know what does. What it really shows is how little respect Trump and his allies have for their own base. Trump thinks his supporters will accept anything he says, even denying that a signature written in his own handwriting is his. That's the level of excuse-making we're dealing with here. The sad truth is, many within the movement will still go along with it, but outside of that bubble, the rest of the country can see the obvious. This is a cover-up attempt, and it's unraveling in plain sight. And just last night, Rachel Maddow broke it all down in detail.
This document. Pretty immediately, other examples were obtained of President Trump signing his first name in various contexts right around that time. And the signature from those other uncontested signatures of his, I don't know, looks pretty exactly the same. I mean, just a layman's understanding of these things. But here, look. This is the birthday book for Epstein that has Trump purportedly signing it, Donald, in 2003. Here, the New York Times publishes an example of a book Trump signed to Jeffrey Epstein in 1997, Donald. Here's the Wall Street Journal publishing an example of a letter Trump signed Donald in the year 2000. Here's the Wall Street Journal publishing an example of a letter Trump signed Donald in 2006. Now, I'm no forensic handwriting expert, but if the White House is hinging its whole defense against how ferociously creepy and suspicious this all is on how much these signatures don't all look alike, how much these signatures don't look like each other, if that's their defense, that's a terrible defense. This is the sitting president of the United States. In addition to the creepy Our Shared Secret Naked Woman References to Never Aging document from Epstein's birthday book, Epstein's estate also today handed over to Congress this photo in which Epstein, who you see on the right there, is holding a big novelty check for $22,500. It is a check that is made to look like it is from Trump to Epstein. So it's Trump purportedly paying Jeffrey Epstein more than $22,000. The caption alongside the photo, which the Wall Street Journal says was written by a longtime Mar-a-Lago member, indicates that the check is because Epstein sold to Donald Trump a, quote, girl who is described as, quote, fully depreciated, for $22,500. What's that about? This, of course, comes after President Trump said just earlier this summer that the reason he had a falling out with his longtime friend Jeffrey Epstein after 15 years of friendship was because Epstein, in Trump's words, stole a young woman from him. One of Epstein's sex trafficking victims, who Trump says Epstein stole from Trump's spa at Mar-a-Lago.
Donald Trump can try to hide pieces of this scandal. He can try, as he always does, to spin the story and change the narrative. But the damage is already done, and there's no undoing it. Democrats are making this a central issue heading into the midterms. And once the new Democratic majority in the House is sworn in, you can expect non-stop investigations. These won't just be about Trump's role in the cover-up, but also about the involvement of others in his administration and Republican allies in Congress who tried to delay or block accountability. They will be called to testify under oath. Representative Robert Garcia has already secured access to Epstein's birthday book, even as the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. He's shown fearless leadership and real results, and once he has the full power of the committee chair, the investigations will only expand further. That is something worth fighting for. We'll continue covering this story every single day here on the channel. If you want to support that, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a like on this video, and if you made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.